Forgive me, I am still getting accustomed to preaching the sermon. At this point, I got used to how Father had done it before, and then I was told that Father had changed it when I came and that this was where the sermon always was. So I don't intend to move things back and forth and all around and confuse all of you or confuse myself, but this is a good place for the sermon to go, because then the choir can hear. Up there in the choir loft, it's a little bit difficult. Right, Barbara? Well, that's good. We hear, of course, today the story of the man possessed by demons, whom the Lord delivered from his possession, and the response of the people gathered around was to ask Christ to go away. They did not like the miracle, or perhaps they did not like what it cost. And that is always and will always be a temptation and a struggle for those of us who call ourselves Christians. We know the salvation that the Lord brings. We know the newness of life that he offers. We know the path of the cross that is set before us. We know what it costs, and sometimes we don't like it. And we get very good at convincing ourselves that it's not our fault, it's this circumstance or that occurrence, it's this person who bothers us, it's that boss, this job, that unexpected circumstance that really means we can't expect ourselves to have achieved what we seek. Or sometimes we blame God, and we say, God didn't take this temptation away from me, and I am too weak to deal with it. We say any number of things to avoid the simple truth that we already know. Salvation is near to us. Christ is at the door. He stands and knocks. The only cost to us is that we open the door. And sometimes opening the door means that we have to take down the locks and the bars and all of the things that we build up to keep Christ out. You don't need me to tell you what these things are. We all know. Every one of us knows in our heart of hearts the treasure that we think is a treasure that we cling to that prevents us from opening our hand and receiving the gift of Christ. That treasure that we cling to is fool's gold. It will not sustain us. It will not suffice. And the treasure that the Lord offers to us of his presence, of his love, is glorious and precious and lasts forever. So I would ask only that we look today at the people of the Gadarenes, how they valued swine over the presence of the Master, and consider ourselves, lest we too hold on to something that if we can only let it go, we will be able to encounter the glory and the peace and the salvation of Jesus Christ. As examples in this, not perfect examples, but examples, let us consider those who sing in the church. Because they have given up one precious thing, their time. Time that they could have spent in bed, sleeping a little bit later. Time that they could have spent in other pursuits when they were instead at home practicing the chant, as the psaltist must do. Where is Angelo? Well, he knows. They have given their time. They have devoted it to the church, not for the sake of glory. We put them up out of sight where no one can see them, and yet we hear their voices leading us in the hymns of salvation. And they give to us an example of the way that we are all to walk. To set aside what we would rather have and instead offer our services, our lives, our very persons to Christ and to the church to serve the prayer and the salvation of the people of God. This is what the choir does. And on this choir Sunday, celebrated 2 weeks late because of expediency's sake, we honor them. We honor, too, the saint that is patron to them, celebrated early in October, Saint Romanos the Melodist. Now, Saint Romanos was not born with a beautiful voice or a mind for poetry. And this is important because our choirs, without exception, embrace anyone who is willing to come and sing, even if they can't sing in tune, although all of you are magnificent. Don't think that I'm talking about you, right? Good. Romanos was just a young man who couldn't sing, couldn't write, couldn't do much of anything, but he gave what he had to Christ and he became a monk. And in the monastery, the other monks laughed at him because he couldn't even sing a short little verse. And then he prayed. He offered himself to God absolutely. And he asked that he might be received as a vessel of the grace of God to sing, not in pride, not for his own glory, but so that the church might be edified. And an angel appeared to him and gave him the hymns that we still sing, but that were new to the church. And the next day he sang them, and his brothers were amazed. The other monastics were astounded that he who had had no talent, not even a bit, was suddenly found to have the voice of an angel. And again, we find this is what happens. This is what the Lord accomplishes in the lives of those who give themselves to Him and let go of every earthly care and run with joy and fervor after Christ. Therefore, may we be imitators of Saint Romanos. May we be imitators of our church musicians. May we be imitators of all those who have left behind something dear to them and valued Christ as more important than even that dear and precious thing. May we not be like the Gadarenes, who were presented with not just salvation, but the one who brings salvation, but sent him away because it was too expensive, because it cost too much. May we count the cost. May we see the glory of God. And may we set aside all earthly cares so that we may receive the King of glory. Amen. This concludes the service for today. God bless you all. Enjoy the lovely fall weather and have a blessed day and a blessed week. I will see you shortly in the hall for the spaghetti luncheon.